Now let us look into the physical properties of 13 group elements and 14 group elements. So if you consider 13 group elements, the first element of the 13 group, that is boron, is non-metallic in nature and extremely hard and a black colored solid. Okay, it exists in many allotropic forms, right? And boron has got high melting point. Okay, now why boron is having high melting point? Because of three-dimensional structure in which boron atoms are held together by strong covalent bonds. Okay, so rest of are the soft metals with low melting point and high electrical conductivity. Okay, and melting point decreases from boron to gallium and then increases. Okay, so gallium has got lowest melting point, 303 Kelvin, and exists as liquid during summer. Okay, so its boiling point is very high, 2676 Kelvin, which makes it useful material for measuring high temperatures. Because of its high boiling point, it is a useful material for measuring high temperatures. Okay, when you consider the density is nothing but mass by volume. Density increases down the group from boron to thallium. Okay, now if you consider physical properties of 14 group elements, all the group 14 members, whatever group elements are there, all are considered to be solids. Okay, carbon and silicon are non-metals, germanium is a metalloid, tin and lead are soft metals with low melting point. Okay, and melting point and boiling point of group 14 elements are higher than that of group 13 elements. Okay, so melting point and boiling point, if you consider, group 14 elements are having higher melting and boiling point compared to that of 13 group elements. So now let us look into group 13 elements, that is boron family. We'll take up the chemical properties. Okay, so first we are dealing with the oxidation state and trends in chemical reactivity. Okay, now as we all know that the elements of group 13, if you take, it has got 2 electrons in s orbital and 1 electron in p orbital of valence shell. Okay, and these elements are expected to show an oxidation state of +3. Okay, so when you consider boron and aluminium, it will show +3 oxidation state. But if you consider gallium, indium and thallium, it will show +1 as well as +3 oxidation state due to inert pair effect. Okay, now as we move down the group, okay, when you move down the group, stability of +3 oxidation state will decrease and that of +1 oxidation state increases. Okay, down the group, whenever you move, the elements will show greater +1 oxidation state rather than +3 oxidation state. Because as we move down the group, the tendency of s electrons of valence shell to participate in the bond formation decreases. Okay, so involvement of s electrons in bond formation will decrease. That's the reason why +1 oxidation state stability will tend to increase. So this inertness of s electrons in bond formation is itself called as inert pair effect. Okay, so trends in chemical reactivity, if you take, okay, in +3 state, elements of this group are expected to form covalent compounds. Okay, in +3 state, elements are expected to form covalent compounds. Now boron, because of small size and high sum of first 3 ionization enthalpies, so atomic size of boron is said to be very small. So when size is small, obviously the ionization enthalpy will be more. So first 3 ionization enthalpies, sum of this is said to be high and it will not want to lose its 3 valence electrons to form B3 plus ions. Therefore, it does not form ionic compounds. So, boron does not form ionic compounds because in case of boron, the size of the atom is small. When atom is small, or whatever the ionization energy is there, that will be more. So, first 3 ionization energy is high. And that's the reason why it does not want to lose its 3 electrons. So it will not form ionic compounds, but always it will try to form covalent compounds. by sharing its valence electrons. Okay. Now second point, if you take, aluminium has got a little tendency to form ionic compounds. Aluminium has a little tendency to form ionic compounds. So when we move down the group, okay, when we move from boron to aluminium, the first three ionization enthalpy. Now as we move from boron to aluminium, the sum of first three ionization enthalpies of aluminium decreases, and hence it is able to form Al plus 3 ions and has got a little tendency to form ionic compounds. Now aluminium is said to be highly electropositive metal. Down the group, due to poor shielding effect of D and F electrons, effective nuclear charge increases. Hence, only p orbital electron may be involved in bonding. So down the group, if you go, due to poor shielding effect of D and F electrons. So when you move down the group, what happens? D orbitals and F orbitals will come, and as a result, the electrons present in D and F orbitals, they show poor shielding effect, and as a result of that, only p orbital electron may be involved in bonding. Next, stability of +1 oxidation state. Even though gallium, indium and thallium show both +1 and +3 oxidation state, the stability of +1 oxidation state increases down the group. So you can see aluminium, gallium, thallium and indium. So stability of +1 oxidation state will increase down the group. Okay. Next point what we have is, in trivalent state, these behave as Lewis acids. Okay. What are Lewis acids? Lewis acids are those which have a tendency to accept a pair of electrons. So then anything which accepts a pair of electrons, we call it as a Lewis acid. That which will donate a pair of electron, we'll call it as a Lewis base. So Lewis had explained acid and base concept on the basis of electrons. Now in trivalent state, what happens? The number of electrons around the central atom in a molecule of these elements will be only 6. Okay, and thus behave as an electron deficient molecules. Suppose if you see BCl3, okay, so there are only 6 electrons present and they behave as an electron deficient molecule. Now these have a strong tendency to accept a pair of electrons to achieve the stable inert gas configuration, and hence they behave as Lewis acids. Now you can see whenever BCl3 is treated with ammonia, the lone pair of electrons are accepted by this BCl3, which is a planar molecule, which is gets converted into a tetrahedral molecule, and always the Lewis character decreases down the group. If you go down the group, the Lewis character goes on decreasing. So here BCl3 easily accepts a lone pair of electrons from ammonia to form an adduct BCl3 point NH3. Okay. So Lewis character will decrease down the group as the size of the element goes on increasing. AlCl3, if you take, it will achieve the stability by forming a dimer. So this you can see AlCl3 will achieve stability by forming a dimer. Now the question is, boron and aluminium halides are Lewis acids, but only aluminium halides exist as dimer, whereas boron halides will not exist as a dimer. Now what's the reason for that? Now boron atom is so small that it cannot accommodate 4 large size halogen atoms around it. Okay, boron being the first member of 13 group elements, being very small, it is not capable to accommodate 4 large halogen atoms around it. That's the reason why boron halides will not form dimer. Okay. Next, in trivalent state, most of the compounds being covalent are hydrolyzed by the water to form either tetrahedral species. This is the tetrahedral species in which the element is sp3 hybridized, or octahedral species of this kind in which the element is sp3d2 hybridized. Okay. Now for example, if you take BCl3, now BCl3 on hydrolysis will form a tetrahedral species. Now BCl3 will form on hydrolysis will form tetrahedral species because boron, due to absence of d orbital, cannot expand its covalency beyond 4. So it does not have any d orbitals, so its covalency cannot be extended beyond 4. But if you take Al2Cl6 on hydrolysis, will give an octahedral species of this kind, AlH2O 6 times 3 plus. Why? Because aluminium, due to the presence of 3d orbital, aluminium has 3d orbital, can expand its covalency from 4 to 6. That's the reason it is going to give an octahedral species on hydrolysis, whereas boron will give a tetrahedral species on hydrolysis. Next we'll take up reactivity towards air. Okay, so if you consider boron here, so crystalline boron, if it is there, it is unreactive, whereas amorphous boron is there, it is reactive. So boron is unreactive in crystalline form, but amorphous boron is said to be reactive. Now pure boron does not react with water, right? Now aluminium, if you take, aluminium is stable in air. Why? Because aluminium forms a oxide layer on the surface which protects the metal from further attack. Okay, so an oxide layer is formed on the surface of the aluminium which is protecting the metal from the further attack. Okay, so amorphous boron and aluminium metal, if you heat it in air, it will form respective oxides. Okay, so boron is forming the oxide boric anhydride. Aluminium forms Al2O3, that is nothing but your alumina, right? So whatever the oxides are formed, the nature of these oxides will vary down the group. For example, the oxide of boron is said to be acidic and reacts with basic oxide to form metal borates. Okay, whereas if you take oxide of aluminium, so Al2O3 if you are taking, it is said to be amphoteric. Oxide of gallium is also amphoteric. So oxide of boron is acidic, oxides of aluminium and gallium are amphoteric, oxides of indium and thallium are basic in their properties. Okay, so this you are supposed to remember. Oxides of boron are acidic, oxides of aluminium and gallium are amphoteric, oxides of indium and thallium are basic in their properties. Now reaction with nitrogen, if you consider, okay, with nitrogen if you take, so boron and aluminium, whenever they are heated in the atmosphere of nitrogen, they will form nitrides. Okay, so if you take any element here, boron or aluminium, in the atmosphere of nitrogen, if you heat it, you are getting nitrides. Next is reactivity towards acids and alkalis. Now boron, if you take, it does not react with acids and alkalis, whereas aluminium, if you take, it will dissolve in mineral acids as well as aqueous alkalis and show amphoteric character. So aluminium, when it is treated with dilute HCl, it will dissolve to liberate hydrogen gas. So this is what is the equation. Aluminium, when it is treated with HCl, it is going to dissolve in dilute HCl with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Whereas with concentrated nitric acid, if you take, aluminium becomes passive due to the formation of thin protective layer of oxide on the surface of the metal, which prevents further attack. So concentrated nitric acid, if you are treating for aluminium, so it becomes passive because of formation of oxide layer on the surface of aluminium. With alkali, if you take, aluminium reacts with aqueous alkali and again here it liberates hydrogen gas. So with aqueous alkali, if you take, again it is going to liberate hydrogen gas. So this is what is the reaction. So aluminium treated with an aqueous alkali like sodium hydroxide, so you get tetrahydroxoaluminate 3 with the liberation of hydrogen gas. So boron does not react with acids and alkalis, whereas aluminium is going to dissolve in mineral acids and aqueous alkalis, showing amphoteric character. Reactivity towards halogen, if you consider, okay, so group 13 elements will react with halogens at high temperature to form trihalides. So whenever they are treated with halogens, they form trihalides, okay, of the form EX3, except that of tellurium iodide here, right? So moving on to next part, that is important trends and anomalous properties of boron. Okay, so first point, boron trihalide, due to absence of d orbitals. boron trihalide due to absence of d orbital will form a tetrahedral species. Why? Because there are no d orbitals present in case of boron, so it will not expand its covalency beyond 4. That's the reason it is going to form tetrahedral species. Whereas you take trihalides of aluminium and other elements, due to the presence of d orbitals, they form octahedral species. So boron trihalide is forming tetrahedral species, whereas other elements of the group will form octahedral species. Second point, if you take the trihalides of boron are monomeric. The reason is due to its small size, it cannot accommodate 4 large sized halogen atoms around it. These trihalides, being electron deficient, are strong Lewis acid and form complexes with ammonia, alcohol and ether. Okay, so trihalides of boron are said to be monomeric. So first thing is, boron trihalides will form tetrahedral species, whereas aluminium and other elements will form octahedral species. Trihalides of boron are said to be monomeric. Trihalides of aluminium and other elements of group 13, if you take, they form a dimeric structure. Okay, they will have halogen bridged dimeric structure in which metal is going to complete its octet by accepting electron pair from halogen atom of the other molecules. Okay, trihalide of boron is forming only monomeric structure, but trihalides of aluminium and other elements of group 13 you take, they will form a dimeric structure. This is one anomalous property. And boron covalency is 4. Other elements have maximum covalency beyond 4. So this is another anomalous property. So these points are enough to remember. Now let us look into uses of boron and aluminium. Now first, if you take boron, it is considered to be a hard solid which is having high melting point, low density and low electrical conductivity. Okay, now if you take boron fibers, it has got more tensile strength. Now what is this tensile strength? Tensile strength of a material is nothing but how much stress it can withstand, okay, whenever it is stretched, or how much stress it can withstand until it can get broken. Okay, so boron fibers have got more tensile strength, and that's the reason why it is used to make bulletproof vests and light composite material for aircrafts. Okay, and natural boron, if you take, it is consisting of 20% boron 10 isotope and 80% of boron 11 isotope. So whatever this boron 10 isotope is there, it has got the ability to absorb neutrons, and that is the reason why it is used in nuclear industry. Okay, now borax and boric acid, they are used in the manufacture of heat resistant glass, glass wool, fiberglass. Okay, now when it comes to aluminium, aluminium is a bright silvery white metal. Now you might have seen aluminium at home, because you will have utensils of aluminium at home also. Okay, so aluminium is existing in the form of a bright silvery white metal which also has got high tensile strength and also has high electrical and thermal conductivity. Okay, so aluminium can form alloys with copper, manganese, magnesium, silicon and zinc. So whatever this aluminium and its alloys are there, that can be given the shapes of pipes, tubes, rods, plates, wires and foils. Okay, and as aluminium is cheap, it is used for making household utensils like cans, for drinks also, whatever is there, that is also of aluminium. Borax is used as a flux in soldering and as a constituent of medicinal soaps due to its antiseptic properties. So whatever this borax is there, it has got some antiseptic properties. That's the reason it is a constituent of medicinal soaps. Okay, an aqueous solution of orthoboric acid is used as a mild antiseptic. So if you take a solution of orthoboric acid, which is an aqueous solution, so it is acting as a mild antiseptic. When it comes for aluminium, aluminium foil also you might be using at your home, which is used for wrapping purpose. Okay, so these are some of the uses of boron and aluminium.